So about a couple years ago, I backed a game called Flint Buckler Wakes the Sleepy Castle. It was a nod to the Paper Mario games. It's very cool. I love the jazz music present. I enjoyed the vibe of it so much that I backed it immediately. I was like, okay, cool. This is actually one of the first Kickstarter games that I backed like way back in the day when I was kind of searching for indie games that I wanted to back and wanted to find cool projects. And I was like, cool, I'm backing this game immediately and I can't wait to see the progress. So I kind of checked in on it from time to time, kind of got some updates, but really didn't follow it that closely until at some point I saw that they were changing the name to Escape from Ever After, and I was like, I don't know what that means. And so I kind of looked into what they were talking about and I saw the vision of what this game was going to be. I was like, okay, this makes sense. The name change makes total sense. And then I played the demo last year. I was like, I'm totally impressed by this and I can't wait for this game to come out. And now in just a few short days, on the 23rd, Escape from Ever After is going to come out, and I'm so excited for more people to play this game because this is one of my most anticipated indie games of 2026, which is crazy to say because it's January already and we got indie games cooking. It's a big week for indies already in the year of 2026. So if you don't know what Escape from Ever After is about, I will tell you. I'll read the description first and then I'll kind of break down what that means and kind of tell you the systems of what it is. So the description of Escape from Ever After: it is a genre-bending RPG inspired by the classic Paper Mario games. When a greedy megacorp from the real world starts taking over fairy tales from their cheap labor, a newly hired storybook hero must climb the corporate ladder, rally together other disgruntled employees, and fight back. You play as the hero, as the protagonist of your story, Flint Buckler, and essentially the story starts off with you on your way to fight your rival by the name of Tinder. So it's a hero dragon. Flint Buckler is kind of almost like a kid storybook version of Captain America, where he has his own shield, and that's basically his whole kit, where he throws a shield and he's been fighting this dragon by the name of Tinder for so long. And on one of his standard adventures, he doesn't find all the trimmings and trappings of the castle that he's been known to deal with, but instead he finds a corporate lobby manned by the receptionist of Red Riding Hood, who tells him that this castle has been overtaken by the folks at Ever After Incorporated. And so you basically run into the corporate ladder, the corporate structure. You meet essentially the regional manager of Mr. Moon. Kind of gives you the rundown of what exactly you're expecting that this corporation is taking over, and they're all taking over a bunch of different, they've already taken over a bunch of other different storybooks and kind of essentially asserting their will and their dominance in capitalism over all the storybook characters. I don't know where this falls in like late stage capitalism, where you feel like you've done so much in the world where you're like, you know what we can do? We can go into storybook characters and make them our employees. So Pinocchio, Mother Goose, Three Little Pigs, all those people, they're employees. They're gonna get cubicles, they're gonna get emails, they're gonna throw corporate parties and all that stuff. And so I love this take on corporate and just like modern sensibilities with storybook characters. It reminds me a lot of the Shrek movies, if you're familiar with the Shrek movies, where they kind of blended storybook characters with modern elements. So this is not a new concept, but I don't think I've ever seen this in a video game per se. So I don't know if there's a game that kind of does this style of blending like storybook characters with corporate ladder climbing and employees and all this stuff that you will find in like corporate America. Please let me know. But I feel like this is kind of a good take on it from a video game sense, mixed with the Paper Mario style of combat. So yeah, that's kind of the backstory of what you're doing. So you're tasked by reading emails, and you can actually decorate your office with different trimmings and trappings, and you're going on different missions to different storybooks to kind of solve company problems, climb the ladder. But in the background, you kind of trying to sabotage the company, but you kind of have to climb the ladder in order to sabotage, because as you climb the ladder, you get more influence, more responsibilities, and then you can kind of take over the company and then assert your will and kind of do what you want to do as you climb the ladder. So yeah, that's kind of the backstory. What are you doing? There's kind of two gameplay elements that you're doing throughout the game of Escape from Ever After. So you have the open world exploration platforming elements where you're in each storybook. You have your main hub, which is your storybook, and then you're teleporting between different storybooks and kind of solving the missions throughout. And you are exploring with your characters. Say you play as Flint Buckler, your main character, but you also team up with your rival, the name of Tinder. You have a dragon, and you also team up with other characters along the way, including the big bad wolf, who who is a musician, so you have fun takes on different storybook characters there. There's a good mix of platforming, exploration, finding items, finding hidden areas, and then go along your path. Also, each character has a special ability they can do while they're in these exploration areas. Like Flint can throw his shield to break objects, Tinder can use her fire to light things like torches, and even the big bad wolf by the name of Wolfgang can use his guitar to affect certain elements. I think you can probably guess a certain element that the big bad wolf can trigger by using his guitar. So I can kind of give you a guess there. It's wind. It's wind. It's it's wind. It's a big bad wolf, so it is what it is. So yeah, and then other characters you meet that have special abilities there. So that's kind of the out of combat stuff. But combat is where things get pretty interesting, and it's a lot more complicated than you would expect. So you have sort of the standard RPG elements. You have your health, you have MP, which is actually represented by coffee, and the items are kind of like donuts and coffee and all like the corporate America kind of stuff that you will find. But you do have a special meter called SP, or synergy points, which allows you to do things like team up attacks. As you fight with the certain characters, as you swap between them, you can gain certain synergy points. You can do things like your special abilities, or you can do things like restore health and MP as you fight. Each character has their standard ability, and they also have attacks that do MP related to their abilities. You only have 2 characters at a time that can use, so swapping between each character that you have is key, because there's various types of enemies that exist, from normal enemies to shielded enemies to enemies that can't be affected by fire, to stacking enemies to flying enemies, and knowing what to use and knowing when to use everybody's abilities at any given time is key to be able to defeat the enemies in time. You can also research enemies to know exactly how they're effective and their health and their stats, so that's also part of the strategy as well. So there's a lot of things you can do. There's also trinkets, there's items that you can use, there's also outfits that Flint can use to navigate the environment, and gives you special abilities and effects that you are in the storybook that you're in, and it's quite impressive. I'm only about 9 to 10 hours in at the time of this recording, and I remember reading that there's probably going to be about 30 hours in this game, but I love what this game is already doing so far. I love the humor. It's so funny. I love the banter between Flint and all of his companions, especially between him and Tinder, because they've been bitter rivals in this entire storybook, but they're kind of learning to work together as they fight this bigger evil corporation to kind of take back their own storybook. So I love the dynamics there. I love how you're interacting with all the different storybook characters, like from throwing birthday parties to helping someone's mental health to just like standard stuff that you will find if you work in an office. If you work in an office and you're a cubicle, imagine like Mother Goose is your coworker, and she like has read an email about something about the dimming the lights in the office, and so like there's just really fun dialogue there. I'm enjoying the heck out of this so far. And again, like I said, I don't even feel like I'm that far into it. I'm just barely scratching the surface, but I'm like 9 to 10 hours in. So there's a lot of content, and there's a lot of side content as well. There's an optional dungeon already that I've locked that there's basically like 100 floors that you can complete. So there's a lot of there's some optional content you can explore. You can buy items. You can increase your power by gathering ink to increase the damage of your abilities and some of your basic abilities as well. And I'm so glad that this project I backed so long ago is out and not everybody can play it. And so happy for the folks over at Sleepy Castle Studio, because this is an impressive amount of work that pays homage to a classic franchise like the Paper Mario series. So well done to y'all over at Sleepy Castle Studio. I'm enjoying the heck out of Escape from Ever After, and like I said, this is one of my most anticipated games of 2026. So excited to play it, so excited that it's here, and I hope that you play it. Let me know if you played the demo for this last year during Steam Next Fest, and let me know if you're going to pick up Escape from Ever After. And if you have already, if you're watching this video on release day, let me know how you're feeling about it so far. I would love to know that in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Chike, and I will see you on the next one. Peace out.